My name is Natalia, and I'm a PhD candidate at IMAS, the Institute for Marine and Antarctic Studies. I'm a physico-oceanographer, and my project looks into how the water masses are changing in coastal Antarctica with the changings in the ice mass. Well, I spend most of my days looking at salinity and temperature data, so I can understand how the ocean is changing around Antarctica, because we have ice melting and we have the water warming up, and we want to understand how these changes are affecting how the ocean looks like and how their circulation looks like around Antarctica and around the globe. So that's my project's more centered in that. But the cool thing about my project, I would say, is it's how I actually get to see these things. So instead of going to Antarctica, I use elephant seals to gather the data for me. Going to Antarctica can be very difficult and expensive. So logistically difficult because the weather is so unforgiving, and extremely expensive because we can't just take a flight today or go around just get a little boat and go around the water. That doesn't work. For Antarctica, we need massive polar vessels and be able to get to places, and that costs a lot of money. In terms of a ship's time, for example, we would be looking at $100,000 a day for a ship's time. And also, we would only be able to go down there in the summer. So we wouldn't be able to see anything in the winter, which is very important for us to understand how the climate is changing and how the ocean is changing and how around Antarctica. We want a year-round picture. So it's good to be able to get an Antarctica resident to do this collection for me, because they stay around there, around the ice and underneath the ice, and that's pretty awesome research-wise because we can't really get there. So we use these animals and we put the device that I like to call an electric head on top of their heads. As they swim around and make their dives, because they're excellent divers, that allows us to get information from the ocean for up to 2,000 meters, or topography allowing. So because sometimes they can go deeper than the depth of the ocean floor. So the electric heads, they're actually called CTD devices, so conductivity, temperature, and depth. So what they do, they have a sensor for conductivity that we measure the conductivity of the water and get the values for salinity, so the salt content in the water. And we have a thermometer, so to measure the temperature, and a pressure sensor that will give us the actual depth to which the seal has dived into. So it has dived to. And yeah, these devices, they are much cheaper in relation to the boat, because while a boat is going to cost $100,000 a day, like an average, a polar vessel, these tags, like these hats, we would be looking into $12,000, including the logistics to be able to, to handle the animal and be able to put the hat in there. Well, in my research, I look in East Antarctica, so the east of the Antarctic continent, and in a specific region where they have been, like in 1 year only, I have about 21 seals that generate me 5,000 profiles, and by profiles I mean a dive. So it's over 5,000 profiles for 20 seals in 1 single year. So, and we get the device, it has a limitation, of course, because there's just so much you can transfer via satellite, because that's how they transfer the data to us here. And but this device is allowed for a transfer of 6 dives per day. So let's say the CEO did a lot of dives. It was fishing a lot. It did 10 dives. I'm only going to get the 6 best dives that he did, and that he did by. So it would be by best, I mean the deepest. So the 6 deepest dives, we're going to get this information back here in the lab. And it's an open source data as well, so it's a consortium, so it's called the MEOP consortium. they process all the data and make them freely available so all the scientific community can have access to it. So the elephant seals, they normally hang out on the coasts of Antarctica and also in the subantarctic areas, so subantarctic islands like Kerguelen Island, Elephant Island. So the seals that I use, they were tagged in Antarctica, but you can also tag them in the subantarctic islands that they hang out as well. So they stay on the beach and then they are handled there. And then they go off for their dives and we start collecting data where they choose to go. So there's one other limitation that we have on this data is that we can't really tell the elephant seal to go to a specific place that we want to see. We need to work with the data that they chose. All the hands have the same battery life, but the device is only on when it touches the water. So if the seal is swimming a lot, it's diving, it's just going all over the place, then the heads are not going to last very long. So we're going to have 3 months of data. But we have seals that are more chill. So they go around, come back, go around, come back, and then I can have data like for 12 months. So the thing is, it can't be more than that because the hat is glued to their heads with epoxy glue. So by the time that they molt, because they molt once a year, so this process where they change the skin, get rid of old skin and then have new skin growing. So by the time that this process happens, the hat will fall. So it doesn't stay with them forever. By using COCTD data, we are able to collect and see Antarctica during the winter near the ice, and that is crucial for us to understand Antarctic ocean circulation and therefore be able to understand how it ties up to the ocean global circulation. So if you want to know more about this project or about COCTD data, please find me on Twitter and send me a message.